Hey, I'm Torben, and I'm a writer, um, and I'm not really writing anything right now. So I just thought I would tell a story on video, and maybe I'll do this every day. And the story I have today is I was walking back from the swimming pool. I was swimming at the University of Toronto pool, and I have to take the subway for a few stops in order to get there. I was initially hesitant to actually sign up at the University of Toronto pool because I have to go a few stops, and I thought that the barrier of riding the subway for a few stops would prevent me from exercising every day, but it actually hasn't. I often actually enjoy taking the subway a few stops, and today was one of those days. So I was re-entering the subway at Spadina Station when I was done my swim, and I reached the escalator that takes you down to the platform that where the trains are. I guess that's the platform. And a woman, there's two escalators. One goes down, one goes up, just like every normal escalator pair you've ever seen. And this woman, I think it was a woman, was running up the down escalator. And she had almost reached the top of the escalator when I arrived there, when I reached the precipice of the escalator. But then she fell. She tripped on one of the final stairs after running all the way up, running at a fairly good clip in order to counteract with her upward velocity the ascending motion of the escalator. She tripped on one of the final stairs and kind of fell onto the stairs and couldn't get back up in time to recover her trip in order to reach the top. So she kind of sat down on the escalator and started riding it back down. She also had some bags in her hand, and those had kind of fallen on the ground, and so she kind of collected her bags together and rode, sitting on her butt, down the escalator again. And I was wearing my headphones at the time. I wasn't wearing these ones. These are my new JBL headphones that have this microphone. I'll tell you more about them in a minute. But I was wearing my other headphones. I was wearing a pair of Skull Candy over-ear headphones, and I was the only one kind of anywhere near her, so I took them off, and I said, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" Because, she had kind of fallen fairly hard on the stairs, on the escalator. And do you call the parts of the different steps on an escalator stairs? I don't know, whatever, the steps of the escalator. She'd fallen pretty hard, so I was like, "Are you okay?" And she kind of said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." As if, it was the most normal thing in the world to have been running up these fucking escalator stairs and to have fallen. And, and and then she kind of faced away from me. She got back to her feet and faced away from me and rode down the stairs. And generally, when you're riding an escalator, there's kind of like two lanes of traffic. If you want to stand still, you stand on the right, and if you want to pass, you pass on the left. If you want to walk up the escalator, as people often do in the big city because everyone's in a hurry, you pass on the left. And my impulse was to pass her. Not that I'd really thought about it, but when I was taking that escalator down, I had assumed that I would walk down them to increase the efficiency and the speed of the trip. I would use the left-hand lane in order to pass, but because she had fallen and was probably embarrassed and flustered, I decided not to pass. So I sort of just stood behind her on an upper step as she rode down and just kind of contemplated the weirdness of the situation for the whole descent. And and that was really odd. But I think that her embarrassment was probably somewhat allayed by the fact that she was kind of very hidden from society in her presentation. She was wearing a blue surgical mask, as we often still see on subways. She was wearing a blue surgical mask, and she had her hood up on her violet raincoat. And also glasses on, some normal glasses, not sunglasses, but just eyeglasses. So she was very kind of like hidden from the world already, um, and and so maybe that made her feel less embarrassed about it because I couldn't really determine her identity by looking at her. If I saw her again, unless she was wearing precisely the same outfit, I wouldn't recognize her. So we reached the bottom of the escalator, and then she turned the corner and and took the up escalator up. I wonder why she didn't do that in the first place. You know, they're right beside each other, and I wonder what her thought process was when she reached the foot of the up escalator and decided to ride it up. Um, I wonder if she was giving herself a challenge, or if she took a couple steps and then realized her mistake and decided to sort of forge on despite her mistake. Um, Whatever it was just a really odd scene. I seldom see people running up escalators, unless perhaps it's some teenagers egging each other on. And not only do I seldom see that, but it's even rarer to see somebody fall at the top of one of these sprints and to have to ride down the escalator on their butt. And that's the end of my story. So these headphones and the camera. Let me tell you about my setup. Um, I uh, I had a video camera, but it was actually my uncle's, and his son, my cousin, asked if he could have it. My cousin Tom is a designer and an art director and stuff, so he has lots of use cases for cameras. So he asked for the camera, and I gave it to him. So I no longer have a video camera. What I'm recording on right now is actually a cell phone that I'm using as a webcam, through a lovely app I've discovered called Camo, made by Reincubate. And so I'm using my cell phone as a camera, and for a microphone, I have this little thing on this JBL headset, and I think the audio quality sounds pretty good. I have another microphone, but I don't have an audio interface for it, and I think that I will kind of make videos with this headset. It's pretty gamer core. I'm not really a gamer, but I really like JBL products, and I've decided to use this headset as my audio and my cell phone camera as a video camera, and it seems to look pretty good. So, see you next time.